Hello everyone, this is Melanie from Melanie B's Creative Studio and Supplies, and today we're doing something a little bit more high-tech than usual. Instead of a canvas and a paintbrush, I'm going to be using an iPad and an Apple Pencil, but you can use one of the off-brand styluses. I have several because I've tried a few different versions. I ended up, after several years, getting the official Apple Pencil. Today what we're going to talk about is the Procreate app and how to use it with a digital paint by number kit. I'm about to release an entire line of digital products on my website. In order to simplify my life, I will be removing a lot of physical products and adding some digital products. So the first question you're probably going to be asking yourself is, why would I want to do any kind of digital painting or a digital paint by number? Well, let me say, I'm always going to want to paint by number with actual paints. So that passion is not going to go away. But sometimes there are situations that I cannot get my hands in to the real paint, like when I'm sick. So that's when I actually discovered the Procreate app and started playing around with this entire concept. I was bedridden with strep for 3.5 weeks and I was bored out of my mind. I couldn't grab out my paint by number supplies and really get comfortable. So I started playing around and learning Procreate, this app that is designed for an iPad. So today what I'm going to cover are the basics and what you would need to know in order to use one of these digital paint by number kits. So the Procreate app is a one-time fee of $12.99, which is a really good deal considering what you can do with it. I'll put the link in the description for that app. Let me talk about a couple of things that I use specifically to make this work best for me. Because I have migraines, I've always put on a matte screen protector on all my devices. So you may notice that there's not a lot of glare on the screen of my iPad, but this also helps when I'm using an Apple stylus or a pencil. It helps my pencil glide across. It's got a very cool feeling to it. It's almost addictive the way this stylus feels across the screen. That is something else that I highly recommend that you use for your particular iPad. It also keeps your screen from being damaged. Plus, it helps cut down on the glare if you're staring at your screen for a long time and really focusing in on some of these small cell areas. You're going to appreciate the fact that it's not causing a lot of eye strain. So now that you have your iPad, your matte screen protector, your stylus, or your Apple Pencil, and I'm going to link you to all these items, let me go ahead and open up my iPad. First, of course, you're going to need to download the Procreate app onto your iPad, and I have mine right here on my home screen. When you purchase one of the kits from my website, you'll receive an email with the download links. Once you click those links, they will download automatically into your downloads folder. For me, I have them right here on this main screen, and you'll find them in downloads. So I'm going to show you real quick. If you don't know where that is, if you will slide down on the main screen of your iPad, you'll see the search menu, and you can just type in download, and you should be able to say go, and it's going to open up your downloads folder. The kits that you download will be in a zip format. You're just going to click on that file, and it's going to decompress it for you and open it into a folder. I'm going to unzip one of these files to show you how quickly it will decompress. I like to move all of these files onto my iPad so I can find them later. You're going to click select at the top of this screen, and it's going to give you a little bubble on every file or folder on the entire page. Just click the bubble on the files or folders that you want to move. And then at the bottom, you're going to select move. When this screen pops up, you're going to go up to the right-hand corner and click copy. So now if I need to find it, I'm going to go here. I'm going to see that that particular kit is right here, and I can find it again. Now you can organize the kits as you purchase them in whatever way you would like to do it. I put them in categories just like I have them on the website so that I can find the one I'm looking for. The one we're going to work on today is called Blue Santorini. It's kind of a beginner's kit. You're going to see several different items in that particular file. You're also going to see a file that says .procreate and one that says .swatches. And these are the two that you're going to need to actually complete your digital painting kit. And even though I haven't shown you anything about the Procreate app yet, I'm going to click on these two items to get them installed into the app so they'll be there when we're ready. So if I click the swatches, it's going to auto install that color palette into Procreate.
It's going to automatically open my Procreate app in the gallery view. So this is where you would find all of your kits once you've imported them.
But I'm going to slide that up and out of the way and open back up my file. And I'm going to click on the Procreate file. And it's going to open my digital paint by number file now. And those are the only two items that you're going to need to complete this kit. Just like in real paint by number, you have your brushes, you have your palette with your paint, and you have your canvas. Well, that's what all this is in a digital format. In order to not overwhelm you today, I'm only going to show you the basics and the menu items that you're going to need to complete a basic paint by number. If we click this gallery button, we're going to go back to that first screen that you saw that had all of those items on it when I first imported the swatches. And we're going to skip to this next item here. And it looks like a little wrench. And this is our actions button. Under this actions button, the most important item for you to remember would be the share button. Procreate has an amazing autosave feature, so as you're working, you do not have to remember to save your progress. But if you want to share your progress on my Facebook group and other groups, then this is where the share button here comes in handy. You have these options, and the one that I like to use most for sharing is the PNG. So this is where you would just click the PNG button. I like to save it as an image, and that's going to put it in your photo album. Then you can find it easily, and then you can share it to Facebook, Instagram, anywhere you would like to. And we'll go over more of those actions at another time. One of the few things over here, and this is not something you really have to know right now, but this is a cool feature that I personally love. Procreate has an auto record feature, and it records my entire progress on this painting. So what I need to do here is I will click on that tool button, and over here it'll say video. And if I have this turned on, it will automatically record every single thing I do for this painting from the time that I start, whether I turn off my iPad, and then I can export this time-lapse video. And I always export it as a full length, and then I can edit it and take out all the little blips and stuff. And that is a really cool feature for me, especially as a content creator. So that's all we're going to need right now in the actions menu.
I'm just going to skip these middle two items, and we're just going to jump straight over to this arrow.
The next one is the transform tool, and this is the arrow. The transform tool is one that if you click it, and I don't want to move anything because I have everything lined up, but if I click that button, it will give me these moving outlines, and then I can take my layer and I can move it around and line things up. I can resize it by using the little handles and that kind of thing. You probably won't have to use this for the digital paint by number kits. But if you accidentally bump this and you need to know how to fix something, then that is what that's for. So the most important tools on the menu are going to be your painting tools. This one might be hard to see with the lighting right now, but this is the brush tools. And right now it is highlighted blue. And this is where you're going to find your brush library. Procreate comes with a lot of brushes included. They have all of these down here that are already in the Procreate app, but the ones that I designed for Procreate are for paint by number. And I'll talk about what these sets do in the next video when we're painting. But this is where you're going to select the brush that you need to use, and over here on this side, I'm going to go ahead and jump to this side, is where you're going to determine the size of the brush. So this is a slider, and it's going to decide if I have a thin brush, a fat brush, and whatnot. Over here it decides the opacity of the color that I'm using. And if I click this button, this is where it's going to pick up whatever color I need. So if I decide I want to change a color and I want to pick up this color, then that's going to be the color that's going to show in my palette, which we're about to get to. The next menu item is this smudge tool. I don't use the smudge tool because I made brushes that are much easier to use. So I'm going to skip this one. The eraser tool will be your friend. And the way the eraser tool works, if you hold down the eraser tool, it will auto set to the same brush and size that your main brush is set on. But you have all the same options in the eraser tool that you have in the brush library. One of the main components to Procreate and what makes it work so amazingly well for digital paint by number is this menu item here. And this is called the layers menu item. And this is where the magic happens for the digital paint by number kits. So before I explain these layers, let me tell you how Procreate works. If you imagine that you have a color reference guide, then I give you a black and white number reference guide and I stack it on top. And then I give you a clear piece of transparency and I put that on top and I say, now you're going to paint your paint by number on this clear transparency so that when you're done, no lines are showing and nothing from underneath is going to show through. That would be amazing, right? That way you don't really have to worry about opaque paint. You don't have to worry about covering every line. You don't have to worry about the coverage of numbers and things like that. So that is the same concept here. Now I have the black and white number reference turned off just because when I save the file for Procreate, it's going to show me whatever is visible. And I want you to be able to see what this kit is when you open that Procreate file. So if it's in black and white, you really can't tell what it is. So if you will just click the button here, that turns the layer on. I have this sandwich with a transparent layer on the top, the black and white number reference in the middle, and then the color number reference on the bottom of our sandwich. This is the layer that we're actually going to be painting on, is our transparent layer. These two are just for reference. They're going to be telling us what paint we need to use and where we need to use them. So our outline and what color is here. Now you'll see how to use the layers more once I show you how to paint this kit. But the next thing we need to talk about are the swatches and picking a color and things like that. So I've made it super easy. You don't have to choose your paints based on swatches and all that. I've already done it for you. So this is the colors panel. When I first click this, it's like, what am I looking at? Oh my gosh, what is this? Down here, you have all these options of colors you can choose. And for people who want to do that, they can. You could do any colors you wanted on your painting. You do not have to use the colors I'm providing you. This is freedom of expression. But for those of you who want to use the color palette that I have provided you, that is going to be here where it says palettes. Remember the dot swatches file that I gave you and told you to click on and it imported for you? It's going to be here under palettes. So click that. Now when a new palette gets imported, it automatically goes to the bottom of this list. You're going to see my list is very long because I have been designing a lot of palettes and mine's going to be here. And when I named it, I name it the same name as the kit. There are 3 dots here. Click those 3 dots. You're going to set this as default. Once I do that, I can move this out. The only palette I'm going to see is that palette that is specifically designed for this kit. Now you're probably wondering, well, how do I know what number is what? You've got all these colors, but I don't have a number to correspond. So this is the compact view of your palette. But for every palette I make for the paint by number kits, I go in and I number them for you so that they will correspond with the paint by number kit. And if you will click cards, scroll up, all of these will be numbered 1 through 30, and they will coordinate with the numbers on this kit. All right, so if I don't want this palette to be this big and I don't want it in my way, I mean, you can move it wherever you want, but you can click the X button and it's going to go back up here. If it goes back up there, you click it again, it's going to be at the top and you're going to see cards and it's going to be right here. Most of the palettes will have 30 colors. This particular palette had 29. Some will have 24. It just depends on what I felt like looked the best when it was rendered. These are the gestures for digital paint by numbers. There are a lot more, but these are the ones you're going to use the most. If you need to zoom in, you're going to take 2 fingers and pinch and zoom. And you can see the numbers very clearly now. If you need to rotate, pinch and rotate. My favorite, because it happens all the time, and let's say I'm painting and all of a sudden I accidentally make some kind of line. You can take 2 fingers and tap the screen 1 time and it's going to undo for you. If you cannot remember that little gesture, there's also an undo button right there that will take care of it. What you do want to make sure that you're doing is you're painting on this top layer where it says paint on this layer. If you are afraid that you cannot remember to do that, one gesture that I find that comes in handy is if you will take your finger and slide to the left, you can click the lock button. And that keeps me from doing anything with the black and white number reference. Like if I select it, I cannot see it. It's going to remind me. You can't do anything with this layer. So I can either unlock it or cancel, and then I can go back up to my paint on this layer so that I know that I'm painting on the right layer. So what happens if for some reason I end up painting on the black and white number reference? I can undo, but if it auto saves, I might only be able to undo to a point. If I start to erase, I will be erasing my black and white reference. So I just want to be careful not to do that because I may have to just start over and I don't want to do that. In the very beginning of working with a digital paint by number or working in Procreate, to lock that layer just to get in the habit of working on that top paint on this layer. Okay? All right, so I showed you that undo is 2 fingers, but redo
is 3 fingers.
In the next tutorial, we're going to paint, which is going to be the most fun part. Stay tuned, and I will see you in tutorial number 2 for Procreate and digital painting with Melanie B.